Hello and welcome everyone, I am Madals and welcome to another StarCraft 2 England cast. Today we are looking at a best of one game. It is between Axslav, the pink Protoss player in the top right position, and in the lower left we do have EGSuppy, of course the red Zerg in the lower left. So I am super duper excited about this because EG players tend to be pretty good. Suppy is really good and Axslav is really good. So all in all, everything is really good, and as a result you should like this video. Yeah, bang on, because of course, actually, seriously, for anyone who doesn't know, and I do try and explain why content producers such as myself often ask for likes on our casts and things, it's because all of the YouTube ranking system takes a lot of account into like comments and how many likes it gets and how much interaction, etc. And therefore, when we're producing loads and I put up, well, a game a day, it's really helpful for us, for more people to see our casts and things if we get a like. And if you do like it, it obviously is great to get the support. So that's why you hear lots of casters and things like that ask for likes on their videos, or just any content producer on YouTube. And you really should support people if you watch their videos and you do like them. So that is just a cool little bit of knowledge bombs for you all. And they're having a nice chat with each other, because I love the point where you get, I don't know if you've ever noticed this on ladder, but you follow a bit of a curve. Like in the lower leagues, everyone's like chatting away perfectly happily for hours and hours and hours. And then you get sort of between, I call it the gold to mid-masters play, where people are so focused, they're just like, can't type anything other than GLHF. Then it's complete 100% concentration. If I type, I may just forget to build a pylon, or I may just lose flat out for some idiotic reason because my concentration went on typing, so I can't type. And if you try and type to them, so many people will just be like, can't talk, concentrating man, busy, or whatever. And then you get above kind of mid-masters into like grandmasters and pro level. It's just like, yeah, we can have a conversation and execute this build perfectly because it's early game. Like my APM is through the floor and I'm still doing everything fine. And that is really a good point. That, and Axslav actually really a demonstrator of this point. No spamming going on here at all. He's just like, I'm doing everything I need to do and nothing more. This is the limit of what I decide to do early game, and it's something I've actually taken up recently. I've been, for those of you who watch my channel frequently know, I've been playing loads of random on Heart of the Swarm, just to learn the game and have a bit of a muck around with it. And one thing I've been stopping myself doing is actually spamming early on. Maybe for the first game or two I will, just to warm up my fingers and things, but after the first game or two, don't spam early on in my opinion. Just think about what you're doing and play slower. Generally, unless you're really at the top level, you're much more likely to be limited in the early to mid game. I'm not talking about engagements here, but down to actually your decision making as opposed to how quickly you're doing things. So get your scouting right, make sure you don't get supply block, get your production right, etc. And just get into a nice rhythm, and then I personally think you'll do quite a lot better than perhaps you are doing at the moment. So let's talk a little bit about this game. The reason I went off on a bit of a tangent though is because not too much has been going on. We've got the gateway down. It was a forge first in the main, which is something we're seeing more and more people do. We've got the gateway now completing the wall off the cannons there. The Twilight Council, the cybernetics core en route. Meanwhile, the third base here for Suppy, so it was pull, hatch, which is what you're always going to see against the Protoss player who's going for a fast expansion. The probe now scouting it out, being like, okay, everything's going just as I would be expecting. The Queen shuffling over very slowly. Queen's absolutely ridiculously slow off creep, because otherwise Queen rushing would become a popular strategy, no doubt. Now, looking up here, the Overlord coming in being like, hey, nothing's going on yet because it's only 5 minutes and you went for a fast expansion. Literally, you can't have anything because your cyber core has only just done, which means my Overlord can just chill in here and be like, hey, what are you going to do? Make a stalker? Don't think so. Anyway, yes, I'm going off on tangents like no tomorrow right now. We do, of course, have Suppy getting up his first 2 gas there. I was waiting for that. I was thinking it's probably going to be the natural because that makes it a little bit harder to scout whether it's 2 or 4 gas. But it was because of around 40 supply. Anyone after 40 to 50 supply, you'll see the first 2 gas that come down in this build, so that is all good. Meanwhile, the robotics facility is en route, and we do see that there's no Overlord around detected for the moment, and that means that it is unbeknown to Suppy, and Axslav has the advantage of surprise. What he's going to surprise him with, though, we are yet to see. The sentry clearly on some cool little mission. I'm going to maybe try and pick off an Overlord if it was on its way through, but basically, with a robotics facility, the first thing that's going to scream to every player's mind is, Are you going for an Immortal Sentry all-in? And I say that in Deltarune because it has become such a staple strategy of so many Protoss players against Zerg that, dare I say it, it's getting a bit repetitive. And as a result of it actually becoming repetitive, Zerg players are getting really used to dealing with it. It's kind of had the Hellion Expand effect, in my opinion. If you remember back a few months, we were seeing the point where Terran players were just like, every game against Zerg would go for a Hellion Expand, and every game would do loads of damage, and Zerg players would just be like, rah, and rage, and smash their keyboards. And then eventually they saw some pro people deal with it, and they were like, oh, all we got to do to defend that is this, and that's metagaming to the max. And as a result, lots of Zerg players have learned how to deal with Immortal Sentry all-ins. So for the moment, it is looking quite similar to that. The thing it's missing is an additional gateway. There's only the 3 gates as opposed to 4 or 5 you usually see, and there's the Twilight Council as well, so it's not going to be an Immortal Sentry all-in. The Twilight Council was not spotted though, only the additional gateway. So maybe we'll get a position here where ZvP will assume it's going to be an Immortal Sentry all-in when it is not going to be. So that could potentially lead to some problems. And ZvP there with a sad face because his Overlord died. The Overlord is... An Overlord is not an aggressive unit. It's absolutely a pacifist, just likes to observe what's going on, same as an observer. The workers as well, they always die for their cause. It's a shame. But looking here, ZvP, yeah, he's up to his 6 gas. He's getting his infestation fed. It's all fine. The 3rd base though, on its way down for Axslav, has been scouted though by ZvP, so now knows there's no Immortal Sentry all-in coming. I am safe. I can take my 4th base. I can get a macro hatch up. And what are you going to do? Nothing, because you're taking a 3rd. And this is, of course, where people say Zerg is a reactionary race, because you need to know what your opponent is doing to decide what you can do. But likewise, Axslav needs to know what ZvP is doing, but he can do so because of this observer. So he's like, okay, you're getting infestors down. That means I know I've got like at least 80 seconds, as we can see obviously by the pathogen glands, and assuming that ZvP starts it his infestors precisely at 30 seconds in there, so they pop just when pathogen glands finish, plus the time to move across the map. So call it like 90, 100 seconds before you can attack me really aggressively. Yes, you can come at me with some Zerglings or anything like that, but realistically, any big push is going to be at least with infestors. No sign of any roach warren yet, as far as I can see, unless I'm being blind. No, so no roaches. It is just going to be the 1-1 upgraded lings with infestor, which means that you get a lot of gas left over. 4th base is nearly done. The 7th and 8th gas on its way as well now for ZvP. And the advantage of going for this strategy... Wow, a 2nd macro hatch coming out. My goodness. This is seriously macroing right now. ZvP getting all of the hatcheries, because why on earth not? Lava are good at everything. They can become everything. So, yeah, may as well get a lot of them. We do, of course, have the Templar Archives on their way down. And I did just try and click the Templar Archives to center on it. Can you tell I've been casting Heart of the Swarm? But yes, Templar Archives means Archons will be en route. It's a good composition against this sort of thing. You get the High Templar art as well, so you can feed back those infestors and just be like, hey, I see your infestors, and I'm going to pop them like the Grinch of balloons, basically. That's always fun to do. It's one of the most pleasurable experiences in StarCraft 2 is, as a Protoss player, when you feed back an infestor and watch it explode. I don't know why it's so enjoyable. It's probably because of all of the pain infestors bring you throughout your StarCraft career, but... Still looking around, these two are being really passive. Quick Hive, very, very to be expected. The Spire as well, straight up to Broodlords. And I was going to mention this earlier, but I didn't really want to predict it too soon to spoil the surprise. But yeah, if you go for Infestor Speedling with the 1-1 upgrades into 2-2, when you're getting up this many gas, you can get a very early lair, and you can get the Spire super soon. If this was... You could see an Ultralisk Cavern, it's possible as well, and then just switch into the... Spire later, Mind Freeze there, but of course with a good count of Immortals out, that's never a viable option for you. Against Terran it's more viable to be honest, and especially in Heart of the Swarm it's a very viable strategy, but not against Protoss really, unless they're doing some very specific things. So that's all good. We do have Adrenal Glands on their way down for ZvP as well, so going to be getting out those Speedlings, going into Cracklings, because of course that's the point where Speedlings become terrifying, especially when you get 3-3 Speedlings with Adrenal Glands. They just seem to destroy everything instantly. The Greater Spire starting, Axslav moving forward though. ZvP, he's trying to engage, he's getting a little bit of poking and prodding here, trying to surround an Archon, doesn't manage to get it yet though. Some Force Fields go down very nicely, keeping those Infestors back, because the Infestors are the scary part here. The Zerglings aren't a threat on their own there, they're mildly inconvenient. The Infestors though, with some Vulnerable Growth, suddenly make those Zerglings terrifying. absolutely infuriating, I might go as far to say. And as a result, Axslav just playing it carefully, knowing that he tried to take this 4th base. He did cancel it, obviously, when we saw the push come in, but now just moving down. But ZvP doing the right thing. He's going for quick Broodlord, so he's got a lot of Spine Crawlers. And with a lot of Spine Crawlers, you're not going to really have much concern with more aggression coming in. A few infested Terrans on their way down. They'll soak up some damage. Fungal growth hitting as well. And as we can see, with more infested Terrans, with more fungal growths, we've straight away got these Zealots getting cleaned up. But over the top here is the awkward position. The Warp Prism allowing some more warp ins. This bottom right base was taken out there by some Zealots. Didn't manage to get that on screen in time. Sorry for that. But yeah, big warping coming in. So many high Templars, so many Zealots, so many infested Terrans though. My goodness, ZvP is getting all of the beach balls out, and as we can see moving forward, we've got some pushing the Zealots, trying to engage as best they can. More Archons on their way through. Corruptors out. The greatest fight is finished. So Broodlords could be coming down shortly. Some good force fields here, preventing too many more units getting in there. But as we can see, ZvP doing an okay job. His Spine Cord is still up. He's got the infested Terrans there, and he's pushed back Axslav for the moment. The Zealots coming in, they are going to be annoying, but with the Corruptors there, they will pick off that Warp Prism. But look at the damage being done by these Zealots. So much getting taken out very quickly indeed. The Immortals up on the high ground, being able to pick out an awful lot of stuff. But look at this, a mass morphing of Broodlords, and the one terrifying thing I'm seeing is look at how clumped they are. If by some miracle Axslav was able to get an Archon under there, I would absolutely be traumatized for ZvP. I'd be like, ZvP, no! And it would have been terribly scary, but luckily those Broodlords are fine. And as a result, that means that ZvP is fine, because this little force is not going to be able to deal with that many Broodlords. There's an awful lot of Broodlords there. There's no Colossi. There's literally just a Mortal Archon Zealot, pretty much. There is the Fleet Beacon on its way. This 4th base may be forced to cancel yet again, though. An awful lot of Speedlings coming in. They do have Adrenal Glands, and they are 2-2. That means that huge amounts of damage going done very quickly. The cannons alone won't be able to clean it out. And there goes down the cancel. As a result, ZvP has denied his opponent's 4th base and is still staying one base up, which is pretty much a staple of this matchup. So that is all fine. Meanwhile, though, Broodlords moving forward. Broodlords are coming down. They're going to trap all of this. Oh my goodness, this is going to be terrible. Terrible for Axslav now. He's going to lose an awful lot of stuff here. Retreating out of this position is going to be tough. He's losing those 2 Archons straight away. The rest of the units do manage to get through. But I love this choice out of Axslav. Hey, if your Broodlords are on the bottom right of the map, I'll attack towards the left, because it will take you a long time to get back. But fortunately for ZvP, he did have those infestors there, but some nice storms hitting on those infested Terrans, preventing them from denying things for too much longer. Some Speedlings are on their way through. 3-3 upgrades for those Speedlings are on the way. The Archons are getting cleaned out. The Immortals getting cleaned out. More Broodlords are morphing. The Speedlings do manage to clean up pretty much everything here. And of course the Broodlords on their way slowly across the map. But Axslav trying to really exploit the fact that Infestor Broodlord is a very immobile army. And a slight oversight by ZvP, you might say, that he hasn't positioned some Spine Crawlers defending his natural. His 4th is very well defended, but not the natural. So that's a nice attack angle as well for a Protoss player in this situation. The 4th base trying to get retaken because of course the main nearly mined out. The natural will start getting low shortly, so got to be planning for the future, putting a little aside. And yeah, all in all, this is now definitely in ZvP's advantage. He's had some nice engagements. He's trapping a lot of these units out of position, and upgrade-wise, it's 3-1 against 2-2 Adrenal Gland Zerglings. They're going to do well anyway and delay all of this. Meanwhile, this is a scary force. This is 12 Broodlords and 12 Infestors. This 4th base is going down. The Broodlords alone are going to be near impossible to deal with. The Mothership is only a quarter dump. A push coming into the 4th base. The one Broodlord there is trying to deal with this. If the Archon gets taken down, the Broodlord will be able to clean out everything else eventually, and of course with more Spine Crawlers up in the 3rd it should be okay. But both players losing their 4th base is most likely here. The Immortals trying to deal with it. A big warping of Zealots coming through now, and of course with the 4th base down, ZvP in some troubles. He does have this 5th, or what was going to be his 5th, coming soon. So with that, he may be okay. The Speedlings on the way through. A good fungal growth would have been nice there, but unfortunately Infestors don't get back quite in time. And the other scary thing is the Broodlords are completely left vulnerable. If somehow Axslav was able to get his units there, he could deal a lot of damage, and he is chasing it down with an awful lot of units. So this is terrifying. Luckily the Speedlings are coming back, and there wasn't quite enough there for Axslav. The Mothership is nearly done. It's being made in the main, so hope you'll see that shortly. Bit of a bad engagement here for Axslav though. The fungal growth is nice, trapping quite a few units there, and as a result that is some free supply to take down for ZvP, who is engaging very cost effectively this game. About 6,000 minerals, 7,000 rather minerals, or resources in total, better off than that of his opponent just through the engagements alone. The fact he's got additional bases and is nearly, or just over 50 supply ahead, he is going to be very comfortable with this situation. He's got his 4th base rebuilt, his 5th is now finished, and as a result, he's just going to start expanding anyway. A couple of Zerglings staying down here, so he might be insinuating that he wants to take that bottom right base at some point. But as we can see, all of Axslav's armies pull back. He's only got the 2 Archons as well. So as a result, even if he were managed to get a great Vortex off, the Archon Toiler may not be that effective, but Axslav pulling back doesn't have the energy for the Vortex yet. It's quite a long way off. Still needs another 32 energy rather. And as a result, he could be having some major problems. And well, here comes the Storms. They are hitting really well, but there's just so much stuff here for ZvP. I don't think Axslav is going to be able to do it. His supply plummeting. The only advantage is that Mothership cannot be taken out by anything but fungal and infested Terrans, so I'm going to have to try and get it. There's no newer Parasite. That would have really been a deciding factor, but trying its best with those Stalkers to pick off Broodlords, and quite a few are going down actually. But we can see the Mothership now falls. The last Stalkers are getting cleaned out, and while there's not too much here for ZvP at the moment, he has a handful of Broodlords. He has all of his infested survive. He's picking off the probes so fast, and he's taken these bases behind. So all in all, we see Axslav GGing out, and yeah, that is the game. And I am aware I said 32 energy when I meant 22 on that Mothership for any maths geniuses there. But yep, remember everyone, like the video, leave a cool comment, and subscribe. I'll catch each and every one of you tomorrow for yet another new cast. Thank you very much for watching, and bye for now.